I am delighted to introduce our speaker today. Service above self. I mean, we live that. That's what Rotary is all about. Graduate of U.S. Naval Academy. He will next year be our district's Rotary Ambassadorial Scholar to the University of Cambridge. He'll be studying developmental studies. So please welcome John Miller, an outstanding Ambassadorial Scholar, because he's coming to this program with the values that are clearly Rotary. John?
Thank you very much. The introduction was very humbling. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Miller. Originally from Kinston, Ohio, but I really lived there 2007. So I come back into the area and then I leave again. I graduated in May from the U.S. Naval Academy. In 2007, I graduated from Badger High School. Show of hands, how many people you got? I went to Boys State and Boys Nation. And in high school, that was really my first exposure to Rotary. So my first interaction with Rotary was probably my freshman year in high school. I was Rotary Student of the Month, which is something that the club likes to do, reinforce the educational process. So they recognize 2 people per month. My second exposure came my junior year to Rotary, and that was through the RILA program, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So it's funny because one of the things that I carry with me, that I've carried with me wherever I've gone in my wallet is a life mission statement, which I developed at RILA. So if you don't mind, I'd like to share that with you. My mission is to live a fulfilling life while maintaining my values of citizenship, work ethic, and leadership by example, while attempting to be a person of character in all that I do. So that was the culminating day, the Sunday of RILA. So if you're looking for something that really makes an impact on youth, RILA is that thing. So it really gives you a period to reflect and to discuss things. And if you have never had a chance to go out and be a mentor, I was at the district conference in May, and I ran into the gentleman from the Salem Club that was my mentor, and it was pretty neat to run into him full circle 5 or 6 years later. So USNA was a great opportunity for me. I graduated 19th in my class with a 3.99 GPA. I was named the top navigator in my class, and I graduated with distinction and with honors. But all those things meant very little compared to what I got to do in addition to that. And the formative things that really pushed me towards like what I want to do with my life. And those 3 things actually were the Higher Achievement Program, the Foreign Affairs Conference, and a trip to Vietnam and Cambodia through a language, regional expertise, and cultural trip through the United States Navy. So I'll go in order and address all those. Higher Achievement was something that I started in the spring of my junior year. It was a program where I went into an inner city school, Collington Square Elementary School in Baltimore. I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with Baltimore other than the show The Wire. But Baltimore is a very unique city because most areas have standard, they have gentrified areas, and then you have more dilapidated areas. But Baltimore kind of has a confluence of both. It's a blend. So you have complete abject poverty and crime in one area, and then you'll run into entirely gentrified areas which are untouched by the realities that the rest of the city of Baltimore faces. So Higher Achievement takes middle school students and pairs them with a teacher/mentor. So I worked with 10 boys in a large group and then 3 boys personally, and went through a curriculum which works to get students up to grade level so that they can get into better high schools in the Baltimore area. Because going to public school in Baltimore is pretty much a death sentence for these kids. It's going to send them back to the streets. So that was one of the greatest things that I did while I was down there. Along with that, I did the Foreign Affairs Conference, which was a great opportunity to interact with students from abroad. So it's the largest undergraduate foreign affairs conference in the country. I was the head moderator the previous year, so I led most of the main discussions. And getting to know those students, that was a great opportunity for me. And it's something that I did all 4 years, and I've had a lot of opportunities to interact with people from other cultures and other societies. The major third thing that I'd like to share from my Naval Academy experience is my trip to Vietnam and Cambodia. In May and June of last year, I spent 6 weeks working with 3 other junior naval officers and then 3 other midshipmen from the Naval Academy on a trip to Vietnam. Vietnam's a very interesting country. We didn't normalize relations till the beginning of this decade. We're now the #1 foreign direct investor in the country. So Vietnam has importance to the Navy more from a strategic standpoint and balancing against the rise of China. But at the same time, there's a lot of discontent and malice towards the United States. So it's very unique to go in there and see their perspective, to go into their museums, to go into their interpretations of the Vietnam conflict, and to examine their perspectives. While there, we went out to Quang Tri Province, which is in central Vietnam, Cái Lao Village, which is the first time that I really had been out into rural, undeveloped country area, though Kinsman's quite rural. And perhaps quite undeveloped. But it was really illuminating for me. One of the big things that I took away was the lack of schooling. So the central state in Vietnam goes out into these indigenous areas and they provide schools, but they don't provide any sort of educational resources. So the school that we were working near was actually a chicken coop, believe it or not. So you have not necessarily a modern school, but you have a structure there, but you don't have teachers because they can't fund it, and you don't have any sort of educational resources. So you have kids that are pretty much stuck in their station in life. And that really struck me because I looked at education as a way of reaching beyond and a way of self-improvement. So what we started, so I came back after that. I did a couple other summer jobs. I was on a submarine last summer. And then in August, when we returned for reform, we started Bridges Through Education Corporation, which was intended to provide educational resources. It's a 501c3 that 2 of my friends, one who is also a Rotary Ambassadorial scholar, who's still working on it in South Africa right now, and then my other friend who's currently going through SEAL training. So we started this, and we managed to ship 1,000 books over to Vietnam. However, only 200 got through. So one of my major initiatives for the next year and a half, 2 years, due to the censorship and all of the other bureaucratic red lines. So one of my major projects for the next year and a half, 2 years is to reestablish supply lines so that we can actually get educational resources on the ground. So those are probably the 3 most formative experiences from my time at the Naval Academy. So in order to tie it back into the Rotary Ambassadorial Scholarship, each year the Navy allows 25 students from the graduating class to pursue graduate education immediately upon graduation. One of the major barriers to this, to going on to further education through a master's program is getting the Navy to approve what you want to study, which was difficult in my case, and at the same time receiving at least 50% of the funding for the graduate education. So the Navy won't actually pay for immediate graduate education. They will only pay after your first 5-year commitment to the Navy. So I was awarded the Rotary Scholarship in early September, and then follow on to that, I won the Nolan Scholarship to the University of Cambridge, which is for 2 years of study. So it was pretty late in the game as far as Rotary International for the district to pick another Rotary Ambassadorial Scholar. So I arranged with with Governor Hayes to represent the district over the coming year while not accepting any money from Rotary. So I didn't think that it was right that I could backtrack on the commitment that I made to Rotary, but at the same time I didn't feel right taking the money that you all work so hard to attain for someone that doesn't necessarily need the money. So right now I'm standing before you and I look forward to being a Rotary Ambassadorial Scholar at the University of Cambridge. But just know that your money is being well taken care of at the district level. With that being said, I decided that I wanted to do development studies, which I had to justify to the Navy. The Navy, one of the core competencies of the U.S. Navy is humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. So I took a ship, USS Fort McHenry, out of Little Creek, Virginia, which has done a lot of stuff over in Africa with the Africa Partnership Station, which is military-civil relationship building as well as military-to-military building to build capacity in Africa. They were also active in the Haiti relief efforts. So it's an amphibious assault ship, but we don't really use our amphibious assault ships anymore to land Marines on beaches. We use them for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. So I'll report there in August of 2013. So I wanted to do development studies, and that's why I picked the ship. And so justifying development studies was a bit of a reach for the Navy. They usually want you to do something with security, but I think that development actually is the underpinning for any kind of security in the long term. If a country can't finance their military, then they can't have the security that's the foundation for development and growth. And with that being said, I think that's about all I have. So I hope that I didn't ramble on too much. Is there any questions? Sir.
You plan on being a career Navy man?
I'm not sure at this point. So interestingly enough, I will be at the 8-year mark. So I'll be 30 when I can get out, and I'll have 12 more years. So I'm not really sure at this point. I'd like to maybe go over it, and there's a little enclave at the U.S. Agency for International Development from the Navy, and they do a lot of maritime security stuff paired with development. So maybe go over there after my Navy commitment.
John is our ambassador as Americans and as Rotarians, and I think you will agree he's one hell of a fine ambassador for us.
The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do.
First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?